Hello, my fellow Americans. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, Boy Scouts. I guess the Boy Scouts of America have decided to allow gay scout leaders. I'm not really sure where I fall on the issue. I can see both sides of the fence. Maybe you guys can help me out a bit. I mean, knee-jerk reaction is, no, I don't like it. But let's analyze the situation here. Let's be logical and reasonable about it. I mean, the question is, what is it you're afraid of? Or what would I be afraid of if I had kids and the local scout leader was gay? Well, I guess if you don't believe in that, if it's against your religion, then you don't want your kids exposed to it. That's fair. I mean, you know, if you're a Catholic, you might not want to send your kids to a scout leader that was of a different religion. Especially if it was some religion that didn't have the core values that you as a Catholic had. So I can understand that. And the thing is, it's like, well, maybe as an Afro-American, maybe I'd say I prefer my scout leader to be Afro-American. Well, is that bad? See, it's when you start doing things like that, you start moving that line. That's when things start to fall apart here. I mean, what's the Boy Scouts about? About being prepared, teaching kids how to live out in the wilderness, how to pitch a tent, build a campfire, sharpen a knife, fish, hunt, you know, tie knots, that kind of stuff. So, if that's all that's going on, what's the big deal? I guess some people think that the scoutmaster might try to come on the young boys. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's really a fair assessment. I don't know if you could just say, just because if somebody's gay that they're going to come on the young boys. I don't know if that's really fair. I don't think it is. I think that's being maybe a little ignorant of what it's all about. But on the other hand, I can understand why you want to protect your kids, and once again, you might not want them exposed to somebody who lives a lifestyle that you're opposed to or don't approve of. You might not be opposed to it, but you might not approve of it. It's like you might say it's okay for somebody else. I'm not opposed to it, but I just don't approve of it. And I don't want my kids exposed to it. I guess that's fair in a way. I'm not really sure though. Because if you say that, then you might say, you know, I don't want my kids mixing with kids of a different race, you know. You might not want your kids mixing. So, I mean, that line, it's really tough because once you move it, there's just no moving it back, and it usually keeps on moving. So like I said, I'm really torn on it. I guess it's one of those things where it comes down to a personal decision, and that's, I think, what America was supposed to be about the individual and making those personal choices and having those personal freedoms to make those choices. But on the other hand, we're supposed to be a united country, a melting pot. But you see, some things just, there's boundaries to be pushed. And when you start pushing boundaries, some people just don't like it. I mean, think about all the laws that have been struck down that have been on the books for centuries. Interracial marriage. I mean, that got struck down. So, like I said, it's a tough call. I just don't know which side of the fence, what would I vote for? Would I vote to say, no, you shouldn't have it, or yes, it's okay? I mean, once again, if the person is just going to lead the scout troop just like any other person, there's really no harm in it. But if for some strange reason a kid comes up and asks the scout leader about being gay, and it opens up a whole conversation, you know, some parents might not be too happy about that. It's kind of like having sex education in the schools. Some parents don't want their kids exposed to that. So it's back to that individual choice again. So like I said, I find that it's tough. I mean, there's, you know, I grew up in the 50s and 60s, so, you know, I got some of that old programming up here in the gray matter. But I have to look at things logically, look at the evidence. I mean, you know, I could just see it now, some Catholic not wanting their kids going to a Boy Scout troop that has a gay scout leader because he's afraid the kid might get molested. Whereas, you know, if he sent him to church and the police could have been molesting him. So, it's just one of those things where I just don't think you can just paint, you know, broad brush and say, hey, no, because they might, you know, a gay scout leader might do this. But what do you guys think? Like I said, to me, it's a tough call, my fellow Americans, but I think all of that is just part of a distraction while there's other things going on in this country. As I've said before, they always want you to look over here while right here they're picking your pocket or they're taking away your freedoms. There always seems to be these social issues coming up one after another that grabs the headlines and it's our attention. I mean, just today I'm listening to talk radio. Rush Limbaugh was on and it cut the commercial, top of the hour, bottom of the hour news break. And they had some news story that I'm not sure why it made the news. The guy went into a liquor store, I forget where this happened, and he bought some beer. He went out in the parking lot. I don't know what happened, but a couple bottles broke. So he went back in. I don't know if the bag broke or the carton was faulty or who knows what happened. Bottles broke. He goes in, winds up assaulting one of the clerks, and this guy gets arrested. Why is that on national news? I mean, don't we have more important things to worry about than some guy beating up a clerk? I mean, once again, it's one of those things where they just want to divert your attention. Then on Facebook, something about, I guess, a bunch of black teenagers beat up or raped or something, some pregnant white woman. And it's like, where's the outrage? Well, I mean, stuff like this unfortunately happens almost every day in this country. And so they're saying, where's the outrage? Well, the outrage is these people putting it on Facebook. That's the outrage right there. But I guess they're wanting some talking head or elected official to blast us with more of this stuff that happens. It's like, yeah, we know crime happens every day. But this country, I think, has more important things to focus on. Like possibly Iran saying, no, we're not going to let anybody in to inspect our nuclear facilities. You can forget about that after they just cut a deal. So, you see, my fellow Americans, once again, it's smoke and mirrors. Here, look over here. My fellow Americans, wake up and just smell the tyranny.